Joining us now, she is one of the leaders, I would argue, and of course in South Florida, of course having her career year for the Bulls, one of the leaders in hitting, home runs, RBI. She has seen it all throughout her career, has been through a lot in her career. One of the greats from West Palm Beach, Florida, which we'll talk about. Catcher Josie Foreman joining us now here on In the Circle at D1 Softball, powered by 643. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How would you describe this season so far for you and the team?
I think the first word that comes to mind is fun. Like this team, the biggest thing that we go off of is energy, and we bring that every day at practice and all of our games. And I think it's cool to be on a team where, you're playing like that little 8-year-old self again, and that's truly what it is. So I think fun is like the best way to describe this team this year.
I think, normally when we talk USF, we talk bull softball, pitching comes up first, and that will still come up in this conversation. But I think the story that I think a lot of people have been kind of intrigued and get is the offense and the
Yeah.
explosion that you have all had offensively, having some of the best offensive numbers as a team in years. Where does that come from this year from this offense? You've seen it all in your career. You're part of the reason you're having your best year, arguably, of your career. But where is this offense? Tell us about this offense and how it's gotten so much better.
I think we all have just bought into like what we're being taught. And I think it takes a lot of open-mindedness from both like the coaching staff and the players. So I think kind of like collaborating and like working off of how we want to swing, but also the coaches helping us make small adjustments within our swing, and then just buying into where we know our barrels best, like those little things, and just continuously practicing those. That's where we have seen those successes. And then especially like at our short game, like our sack bunts, I think that's a big part of who we are. But knowing that, okay, this person's going to put this butt down, and then the next person in the lineup's going to come up and hit a double. I think it's also like plays a confidence factor within our teammates. So we know that your training has prepared you for the situation, and you're going to go in and we have worked on the mentality of how we're going to hit, how we're going to approach. We write in our notebooks after every game. So like it's not just like the physical side, but the mental part of hitting too. We have grown so much just within the 5 years that I've been here. So I think that plays a big role in our successes this year as well.
Tell me about some of the players that are part of the success offensively, like Alexa, for example. You got Alex Wilkes. You got Olivia Elliott. Just talk about some of the personnel here and some of the faces that maybe people that don't follow USF on a daily basis should get to know.
Yeah, so when you have people like Olivia and Alexa setting the table for you, start off a game, I mean, you can confidently put them in there knowing that they're gonna see strikes early, and they're gonna get you a good look for the rest of the lineup. And then they're not gonna fall under like if they get behind in the count because they're in that spot, you know that they're still gonna have a successful at bat. So then it gives you more looks the more down the lineup you go. So, okay, they're going to take as many pitches as they can, get on base still. And then you have someone like Alex who comes up who is just absolutely killing it this season. I think I was rewatching one of our games the other day, and it was like, she only hasn't gone on base 9 times
Right.
or 9 games. And I was like, that is like insane. And I don't think people realize that. But I mean, just knowing that she's going to go up there, she's going to give you a good look. And it really just goes down through the lineup. And then you have people like Dania and Kathy with speed at the bottom of your lineup who are going to turn it back over. It's really just gelling well with how we're working.
Yeah, Wilkes seems like is she a difference maker for a team, an offense? Like she leads her team in RBIs as we're recording, among there in home runs, but she seems like a difference maker.
Oh, she absolutely is.
Did you all see this coming from day one, or take me through her progression?
I think like we did see, and I think the way that maybe our defense was set up last year, she didn't get as much opportunity, but we knew that this season, this type of season for her was going to come because she is someone who every off day she's in the cages. Any chance that she gets to come out to the field before practice or come out with Alexa and her sister, like she's going to do that. So just knowing that she's putting in the work behind the scenes, and then seeing how she was successful last year when put into situations, I think we all knew this was going to happen. So it's really exciting to see that come around.
You're having your best offensive season. People have known you as a great player, but they always talk about your defense.
Mhm.
Nobody ever really talked about your offense until this year. What's clicked for you offensively this year versus past years?
I think it's a mentality thing. So going in and just kind of like training the mentality of you're not beating me. And also like with this being my last season, it's kind of like, what do I have to lose sort of mentality, like going out there playing every game. And part of me like regrets not finding that earlier in my career, but also I'm like thankful that I am able to find it. But I really think it's just all in the mentality and trusting my training throughout the past. I kind of like would question some of the things that I'm doing or dwell on things that weren't as successful. So I think kind of finding a mind where it gets rid of those bad at bats or strikeouts and things like that, and then using the next at bat as an opportunity to do something. Like I think that has been something that's benefited me throughout the season.
When did it click for you? Was it like in the fall? Did you notice it? Like when did it like, oh wow, I figured this out.
I think going into the fall, like I think before we even got together as a team, my training over the summer, I kind of did a lot of on my own, like working with my dad and stuff, and kind of just like being real. Like it took a lot of honesty and a lot of hard conversations to kind of create that mentality. And even with the coaching staff, like after the end of last year, um, they're gonna tell you things, but they're only telling you it so you could get better. So I kind of took that as an opportunity instead of again like being upset about it and made the most out of it and created a mentality that I'm super proud of.
How do you take every moment and take it all in? Because I mean, for those that don't know, you've had some injuries in your career you've had to overcome. You missed all of 2023, Richard. You've battled some injuries. We don't need to get into all that, but just because of all that you've gone through with the injuries, do you take it? Not that you didn't appreciate it before, but like, do you take each moment and kind of take it in more than maybe you would have before all the injuries?
Absolutely. I think coming off an injury and having to watch your team play, I mean, it's fun to watch your team play, but being out there is just, it doesn't get any better than that. So I definitely think that that played a big factor in never taking anything for granted. But then when you lose a teammate like Alexis Buckman, who would do anything to be out on the field, and to be with her teammates, I think that kind of opens your eyes into a different perspective as well. So that really, between that and injury, it was just like you can't take this game for granted because one day you're not going to have it, and that's just that. Like it's gonna suck when you don't have it, but while you have it, you need to take advantage of every moment and think about the positives over the negatives.
Oh, that's a great question. And Alexis Buckman, obviously with her passing, I mean, that puts things in perspective and
Yes.
everything there. For those that do not, know the full story, just talk about her and what she makes. I know that's been an inspiration to you in the program.
Yeah, she was just a fighter, man. Like even when before her diagnosis, she come out here and she didn't have the easiest path. There was some games where she had to sit out, but it never stopped her. Never stopped her. She came out to practice. She'd give you her best effort, and then off the field she was a great person. If you ever needed a laugh, she was the one you'd go to. And then once we found out about her diagnosis, I mean, she took it head on. Like she did not let it stop her. Even at the beginning, we would come out and we had a wiffle ball tournament one day, and she was out there hitting the wiffle balls and running around. So I think that just goes to show like her strength, and it's really inspiring for us to sit back and remember that story.
Yeah, I remember when I've seen you all play in person. You would have, I think, her jersey in the
Yes,
duck, right? Correct. Uh,
yes,
awesome, amazing tribute there. And I know you all think of her every day, and I would imagine in a lot of ways she's still part of this team.
absolutely, absolutely.
How did you stay positive through all the adverse, the injuries? Because a lot of times, hey, maybe things just aren't meant to be. Maybe the injuries are too difficult to overcome. It's human nature. How did you stay with it?
I think that my support staff, like whether it was our sports psychologist, our trainer, like my family, friends, teammates played a big part in it. Like, because there is times where you question, like, am I ever going to be able to throw the ball the same? Am I ever going to be able to play the same? I took a year off, so am I going to be able to hit live pitching how I'm supposed to? Um, and then like going into a season like last year where I wasn't as successful, you're like, man, like this is really okay. Like how do I go up from here? But having people again to have those honest conversations with you and tell you that it's okay. It's sometimes to not fully be okay, but they're there to support you in whatever you do. And I think definitely with that group behind my back and knowing that they were going to push me and help me with any decision that I decided to make, that made it comfortable moving forward and trying to like reset my mindset almost.
What was the thing that was the hardest to kind of get back on track? Was it your offense? Was it catching? Your defense? What was it that kind of like? What was the one that came back quickly, and what was the one that kind of took a while?
I think defense kind of was like the easiest thing for me. You know, my throwdowns were something that was a little bit questionable, but the hardest thing for me was hitting because it's all mental game and I was not in the greatest mental state going into my at bats and things like that. And I didn't have this good mentality going in. So, you know, you start going down the rabbit hole of negatives and you're like, oh my gosh, like, am I ever going to get on base again? Am I going to get an opportunity? When I do get an opportunity, like, I have to do this? So you're putting all this like unwanted pressure on yourself when in reality, like you're just supposed to be going out there and playing the game. So I don't think it was really a physical side that was super hard, but I think it was the mental side of, okay, I'm now going on a year and a half without being in a game and like having live at bats or like having to deal with these frustrations. So like now that I'm here, how am I going to overcome them? So that was definitely really difficult.
Now, I know for years since you walked in, you've been a huge part of the pitching staff with your role. And so let's talk about this current pitching staff that you've got. A lot of arms there
Yes.
with a lot of versatility there with obviously Peyton Dixon, and then you got Sargent, you got Long, and the rest of them. Just describe this pitching staff and each pitcher and what they bring to the table.
Oh, I mean, we have a very diverse pitching staff, and it was something that I was really excited about coming into the school year. So you got Peyton, who, you know, the lefty, I think, yeah, she's the only lefty on our staff. So that's something that like puts her aside. But knowing that she's gonna go out there and she's gonna work for you and but you better work for her too, because she's gonna hold you to that standard, which is something that we have all as a team kind of developed this past year. But you know, she's very intense in what she's doing and like brings that energy to the team. And then you have Belle, who absolutely spins the crap out of the ball. I mean, this past weekend, I told her, I was like, you are slicing and dicing that thing. But it's really cool to see how she has grown the past 2 years. And especially this year, she made a promise to herself that she was going to come out and she was never going to take a game for granted and play every game the same way. And you can just see the intensity behind her and that. And a lot more quiet in the circle, I would say, like, but she's locked in with her teammates and it's really cool. Like if you pay attention to those little things, you'll tend to notice that. And then when she wins that big moment, you'll see her celebrate and we love it. And then Anne, for a freshman to come in and do the things that she has done, she is I'm really excited to see what her future holds because she has probably the nastiest drum ball I've ever seen. Um, so for her to come in and I mean, I think one of her first starts was against Michigan, and then to do what she did is awesome. And like she works hard and she's always in the bullpen with us. Did that ball move? Is that the right spot? So that's really cool. And then you have Hannah McKenna. Who else do we have? I feel like there's so many. Hannah McKenna, Alex Wright, who's come in a couple times and shut it down. Like
Yeah.
we have a really good group of pitchers, and I know I'm missing one. Oh, and Jules, but so we have a good group who's willing to work hard, not only on the field, but we have worked off the field as well as a bullpen. So catchers and pitchers have gotten together and with our sports psychologists, and we're meeting to talk about, okay, how can I make you better? How can you make me better? where are we at? Like, what does our mentality need to be going into this week? So paying attention to those details as a bullpen has been really effective for us this year.
How long does it take you to get to know each pitcher and what their personality? Because that's part of the job as a catcher. You need to know what each because they're all different. So,
Yes.
so how long does it take you to learn how each one kind of what makes them tick? Do you have to adapt your own way depending on the personality of a certain pitcher? Describe that relationship and that bond and how you build that with such different personalities.
Yeah, so I think a lot of that comes from our fall training when we have more of like individual bullpens. So I had an opportunity because of night classes this past year to be in a lot more bullpens than I would normally be in. So understanding how they work in that setting was really big before understanding how they work in a game setting. Because now I know how they want to be talked to, like what do they want to know from me. Sometimes a pitcher doesn't want to hear an opinion from a catcher. They might want to hear from a coach instead. So, kind of respecting almost boundaries for what they want and then understanding, okay, like, but once we get in the game, it might change. So, again, going back to those meetings that we've had, we devoted a whole meeting to understanding how a pitcher likes to be talked to in the bullpen versus on the field, what feedback they want from a catcher, some reminders that they might want to be told. And that's something that, again, it's put us one step further ahead. Like we've even taken the people who might not have as much game experience and prepared them in case they have a moment where they get to go in and they're going to go in and they're going to shut it down. Like an Alex Ray who comes in during Wichita and does her job and you get really excited over those things and like seeing your work being like blooming the way it is.
uh, let's talk about your role on the staff in that, because I've talked to Coach Erickson on the show and I've talked to Georgina Coric as well, and they both have given you a lot of credit because the way, at least you did it, with certainly with Georgina, but maybe I don't know about now, but you're involved in the game plan. You're involved in the pitch calling. So just take us through that. Like how does it work there? Because I know Coach Erickson's very old school when it comes to that, in that he gives the play you a catcher and the pitchers say and authority, as far as pitch calling. Talk about that process.
Yeah, so when George was here, it was strictly on us. Like we were calling pitches, that sort of thing. And again, it's a constant communication and it's almost like a classroom setting. So good conversation between me, coach, and George. We'd be like, okay, like this didn't work. Next time, let's go with this. If we space it a little bit further this way. So that taught me a lot. And then moving forward to now where we are is we don't call pitches anymore, but we're still involved in that communication. Hey, like this batter's making like in bat adjustments. So maybe we should do this, or our pitcher is her rise ball looks good this day. So maybe we should use that as like an 0-2 pitch. So like kind of finding the middle grounds of like, hey, like maybe because this pitch looks good this day, we could go and do that when we're ahead in the count, or really just communicating how a batter is swinging or where a batter is standing and the adjustments that they make in between innings and stuff. That's kind of the communication aspect of it now. But again, it's a constant classroom and that conversation between the pitcher and coach and I, it's just really it's a good learning setting.
They both have told me you enjoy that you have a passion for that part of the game. Is that accurate?
Yes, I think it's the most fun thing to do. It's almost like you're painting a picture and it's like, okay, if we do this, and the way coach used to describe it, I mean, he still does, but when we called pitches, it was like, okay, you're calling this pitch so that you can set up the next pitch. So I think the idea behind that is just so fun.
Did you always have that passion, or did that develop when you arrived?
I kind of always, well, at least during high school, I had a lot more passion or more passion than like others might have for it, because my dad taught me a lot about it. So I thought that was really cool. And then coming in here and being able to call pitches as a freshman is like some people, I mean, most people never get to do that. So it was really an honor to, and something that I was like, I want to be great at this. So how can I continue to be good?
How did Georgina Coric make you a better catcher and a better player overall?
Oh man. I mean, iron sharpens iron. So you got someone at that caliber who is doing her thing and putting in the work, and you know, okay, if I call this pitch, that's where that pitch is going to be. So there wasn't much error there, and it made life so much easier. But again, with someone who has the knowledge like her to continue to like pick away and hear what she has to say, and hey, like George, like why did you want to switch sides on this? um it was just again an opportunity to learn, and look at her now. I mean, like I wish I could still keep learning from her, but it's awesome, and I'm super grateful I got the opportunity to catch her in the way I did.
She speaks highly of you, like as her favorite catcher, and she said that you two hit it off right away. Was that accurate? Take me through that relationship building there. As you're here as a freshman, and here is this decorated pitcher that you're responsible to be her catcher. You got to make sure that she's happy with you, otherwise you may not get to catch her.
Right. I mean, coming in, I was extremely intimidated by, I am not gonna lie to anyone. And then, I mean, I've never seen movement like that ever in my life. So, catching a few bullpens, I was like, wow, like I'd call my parents and I'd be like, guys, like she's like really good. And so I kind of like use that as momentum of like, okay, like what can I do to continue catching her and what can I do to better myself? But I think it was just like a, I don't know, like we just clicked, like in continuing to work together, and like me not shying away from catching her in the bullpens, I think was a big deal. Any chance that I had to catch her, I would go to her. And then I always like to tell this funny story going on like how much movement she had. But one of our first fall scrimmages, I had a catcher's mitt. So we use a first, well, I use a first baseman's mitt when I'm catching. And um it was my first time really seeing a true rise ball like this in the fall. So I was like, whoa, like, but we're in a scrimmage and I keep like missing the ball over my head. So coach calls time. He walks out to the shed, grabs a first baseman's mitt and brings it out. And he's like, here, now catch the ball. And so like I always like to like use that story as like how much movement her pitches actually had. And but I think again, just continuously trying to be paired with her and knowing like the knowledge that she had, it just like makes us all better.
That's a pretty good story there.
Yeah.
But you mentioned you went out of your way to catch her in the bullpen, no matter what the scenario was. Is that something you would give advice to young catchers? Hey, make yourself available.
Yes. I think any opportunity that you get to catch anyone, you should take advantage of it. I like to tell like some of the girls that I work with, I'm like, your bullpen is your practice for the most part. Like that's where like you get better. So what are you going to do to like set yourself aside from everyone else? Like, or what are you going to work on that day? Your receiving, your throwdowns, your blocking, your pitch calling. Like find something to work on and take advantage of those opportunities, because as a catcher, you don't necessarily get as many opportunities. Like you don't get to field ground balls like the infielders do every day. So that is your reps, and the more reps you can get, the better you're going to be.
Now, I mentioned you're from West Palm Beach. Great career there. How did you end up going to South Florida?
Um, so when I was going through the recruiting process, I kind of like explored schools like out of state, local, like Georgia, Mississippi, South Carolina. I think that's the farthest I went. And then we went to a nationals in Illinois. And at this time I did like USF because of Coach Erickson, like the program that he built, being a USA coach, like it's very eye-catching. And I'm like, okay, like good science school, like that's something that I'm interested in. Um, and then when we went to Illinois for this nationals trip, I told my parents right then and there, I said, I am not going to any school out of state. That is not happening. So that eliminated so many options. And then I mean, you come to this campus and you look at the stadium and you look at the things that they're building on this campus and you're like, why wouldn't I want to go here? So I think really just once I ruled out that, yeah, we're not going out of state, like I need my parents nearby, in case like something were to happen, or like my parents played a big role in softball and both of them played. So I want them to be able to come watch any game that they can. So I think that led me to here, but you can't say no to this place. This place is beautiful.
Oh, it is beautiful campus facilities is a second to none. And of course, you mentioned Coach Erickson, who is USF, not just USF softball, but USF played baseball there. Bleeds like if you cut him, he's probably bleeding green. Uh, what's it like playing for him?
It's I he has prepared me for so much more than just softball. And you know that coming into this program, you know that you're not signing up for just like another free for all. Like you come in, you tuck your shirts when you walk around, you're showing up 15 minutes early. Like that sort of structure that he has, like practice is detailed, everything like down to our locker room being clean when people walk in. Just kind of having that structure and knowing his successes and being able to apply it on and off the field, it's just second to none. Like it has put me so far ahead of some of my classmates who I am not as experienced in the field that I'm in compared to them, but because I have learned these things through him, like it puts me way higher than them. So I'm like super grateful for that. And that's just off the field, on the field. I mean, you're gonna get pushed, but you know it's only because he wants us to all be better and he wants you to be better and he wants the team to win.
From a player standpoint, what's it like? I mean, he's an alum, an iconic alum in the school. We also have Carla on the staff, who's an alum herself. What's that like? From does that kind of help the message there that you all know it's coming from somebody that's been there, done that?
Oh yeah, I think it's cool to see that, to see how it's a full circle moment. But what's cool is also like they are so loyal to this school. So I think that explains a lot about the community that we have built here. Like people are loyal, people come back, people want to invest in this program, and that speaks volumes right there. So I think having those two who have gone through the experience here and who are able to share their experiences, it really just makes our experience so much better than someone who might not have an alum coach. I don't know, like it's just I can't describe it, but it's really cool to see that.
I mentioned earlier you're from West Palm Beach, and you mentioned your dad helped you from a catching standpoint. Just tell me how you got into softball.
I grew up in a softball family. So my mom, she played at Palm Beach State and then Florida Southern. And then my dad, he played baseball. And then they ended up meeting like at a slow pitch game. So I basically grew up like at the softball field. I mean, I started when I was 4 and I'm 23. So I'm like almost 20 years into this. And it's just I tried other sports and it's just not the same, especially when you have parents who have the knowledge like they do and they continue to they don't let you slack. But it was really cool to learn from them and hear about their experiences as well. So that's how I really got into softball. I was kind of just born into it.
Yeah, I mean it's in your genes. I feel like it was meant to be, right? Like you probably had a bat like younger than most that would have.
Yes.
Did you have other favorite athletes? Obviously, your family meant inspirational to you, but did you have other athletes you looked up to?
I think growing up, you always have like your big like Jenny Finch, Kat Osterman, but
Sure.
for some reason, Haley McClenny and Aubrey Monroe were like I was like, oh my gosh, like they're the coolest people ever. Just watching to see like how successful they were and then getting opportunity to play against them our freshman year when we played against Team USA was the coolest thing ever.
Monroe makes sense. She's a fellow catcher, so I could
Yes,
see the connect. But interesting, McClenny there, obviously great superstar player herself, just because of her greatness. Is that what it was?
yes, yeah. And she wears really cool Velcro cleats, and I thought that was awesome.
Very good. That makes sense. Uh,
Eric
what's your?
Lopez. Is that you, Eric Lopez?
That is me, Coach.
Oh my God. Do you know who Josie, do you know who you're talking to?
Well, you better say yes, Coach. You better say yes, yes, Josie.
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah.
That's we've been she's been talking very good about you, Coach.
Oh, well, he knows that she's only got a few more months to graduate. Then she's gonna be with me next year, so she better keep it up. So,
Better keep it up. That's a good segue, Coach. Coach knows how this podcast stuff works. What do you want to do post softball?
So I have another year of my master's
Okay.
program So I do have the opportunity to be a GA next year. So like you said, he can't get rid of me that easy.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to explore my career outside of softball. So I'm getting my master's in health administration. I have an internship with Mayo Clinic this summer, which I'm really excited about. And kind of like translate those on-field skills to like career skills. I think like finally seeing that put into place will be really cool. But dip my feet in and see what that's all about, and then still have an opportunity to be around this team and around softball. So, like I said, the softball world is not getting rid of me that easy.
Good. Better not. Better not. There could be some disappointments there. I know there's somebody in Japan that'll be really disappointed there. I hear that. It better not happen there. You got a lot of softball to still to go.
Yes.
Has it crossed your mind that your conference championship this year is in your home turf? Does that mean something?
Oh, it means, 2 years ago when we hosted and Alana and I didn't get to play, it was gut wrenching because you're like, man, like this is an opportunity to win on our field. But now having the opportunity to play here again in your final year, the weekend after senior weekend is like you couldn't ask for a better lineup. And then with the team that we have and the potential we have to make it really far this season, it makes me really excited for
Which,
the tournament and everything.
oh, that's gonna be exciting. I'm looking forward to it for you. You deserve that opportunity. My last question: what's going to be the keys for your team here, rest of the way, to accomplish your, the dream, opportunities that you're going to have in front of you? I know you want to get back to the not only be for that conference championship, but get back to a regional. What's going to be the keys to accomplish that?
I think never letting up. I think, okay, we scored three. How do we score three more? How do we keep scoring? Okay, we got the first out. How do we get the second out? Kind of like those little things is what we talked about recently and where we can find ourselves getting in trouble sometimes.
Sure.
I think buying into the fact of like, okay, if we never let up and we continue to push, like we can seriously do some good things here. And we have a team who does believe that. So now it's just executing those things.
We wish you well on that. Looking forward to it. I know you got big games coming up, but hey, listen, I'm just excited to see you play. So I'm glad you're healthy. You're doing well deserved. You got fans all over there. My last question: give me a quick, quick, funny story.
Oh, quick funny story. Oh my gosh, there's so many. There's so many. I'm trying to think. I also have to like dust off my brain for that one. I would just say it's not really like a funny story, but anytime I went out to the mound, it was never serious.
That's
Like
true.
oftentimes, like people will be like, "Oh, like she must be going out to like see what pitch she wants to call," and like it would literally just be like, "So like, what are you doing for dinner tonight?" Or like, or yeah, and then she would always have some funny dad joke to say or something. Like it was just always good vibes, and I knew anytime I went out to the mound, I was like gonna get a laugh, and people are like and they're gonna call a curveball or change up next. And you're like, no, we're actually just making dad jokes.
I think everybody got to see that when she did some commentary with Ryan Urquhart there, for a little bit there before she head off to Japan. I think people have noticed that what you're talking about.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
tremendous.
That silly goose her.
No doubt. That's Josie Foreman, USF Bull in the circle and D1 softball. Hey, seriously, thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's a busy time, an important time. But again, just glad you're healthy. You're playing at a high level. Keep it up. Enjoyed it. And thanks for coming on here on In the Circle on D1 softball.
Thank you so much for having me.